Welcome back to the Gweilo 60 channel. I thought everybody would get sort of a kick out of the name of this hotel. The idea is right, but sometimes they just don't. The translation just doesn't work out, type thing. Just about ran over him. Hey, that would be road rage in the West. Here you just get a big smile, guys. You know, and that's one of the things about China, is there's just none of that rage that there is in the West. And that brings me to the subject of the day, guys. The debt ceiling. Holy smokes, $32 trillion in debt and nothing to show for it. And you know, the only president of the United States that has brought this to anybody's attention is Donald Trump, when he said, you know, we have the biggest debt in the world and we have nothing to show for it. Our infrastructure sucks, he says. You know what I mean? And it's the truth, the God honest truth. If they default, coming up in June, if they default, you can usher in the biggest recession in the United States history. Will soon follow that debt default. And why is that? Well, that's the way it works, guys. You'll see over 7 million jobs disappear overnight. Think about this. The American government spends $4.2 billion a day more than it takes in. $4.2 billion a day more than it takes in. Let that sink in a little bit. Just to service the debt in the United States, just to pay the interest on the debt, over $400 billion a year. like seriously, like, you know, when you're I better stop here for a second. When you're looking at the numbers like that, and you say, okay, well, what's the solution to this problem? Well, quit spending. Quit spending is a good idea. No, they just want to raise the debt ceiling once again. The Democrats are sort of like the Liberals in Canada. All they want to do is spend. They know that they're not going to be in there forever, so they'll spend until they're done, and then they can say, oh, look at all of the stuff we did. Well, yeah, but look at the trillions of dollars of debt that you left the country with. You know, Trudeau's basically the same way. Dumb as a frickin' stump. Throws money away like it's candy. You know, it's one of those things that, what was it, $450,000 a night for hotel rooms? The COVID rooms? $450,000 a night. It's just ridiculous. You hear about the $800 hammers in the United States, you know, purchased by the government, you know, shit like this, and they wonder why they're in trouble. The Grand Old Party, McCarthy and the Grand Old Party are saying, no, we're not gonna sign the debt ceiling rise this time. We want concessions. Yeah, it's not going to be a freebie this time. We want concessions. And what do they want? They want $150 million worth of cuts on like, really? That's it? Or maybe it's 150 billion. Well, whatever. It really doesn't matter. But when you're dealing with trillions and you're going overboard, $4.2 billion a day, and to service that debt is $400 billion a year. But just a second, doesn't the American military cost over $800 billion a year? Well, if they cut that in half, they could service at least their interest on the debt, but they wouldn't be able to pay off any of the debt. Got to watch when you're cruising the streets of Nanning. Actually, I'm sort of on the outskirts of Nanning City, so there's not a lot of traffic. But I thought you guys would like to see it. It's sort of an interesting place. Not all areas are super populated. Some are sort of semi-industrial. Why isn't China running into this debt problem? Well, because they make money. Do they have debt? Of course they have debt. Every country around the world has debt. That's just the way it is. But not to the magnitude of the United States. There's other countries that are in, I was looking at the percentage of GDP the other day, and there's other countries that are in worse financial shape than the United States. But you see, the United States has a sort of a wonky type of system where, you know, now the Republicans sort of have the final say on stuff. You got to get them on board to say, yeah, okay, we're going to do this, or else everything falls apart. Unless you invoke Amendment number 14. And what is Amendment number 14? It says that you can do stuff like this if it is in national, if it's to do with national security. You know, you can break all of the rules. You don't have to go by the rules. Just as long as you label it something that's good for the national security of the country. Okay, well that's fine. It should be, but should debt, being able to spend more and more and more, be tied to national security? I don't know. That's sort of a tall one. Yeah, I know it's a red light, but we're out in the middle of nowhere and there's no traffic. It's another hot day here in Nanning City. 33 degrees right now. There's no wind, so like unless you're riding your bike, you got no wind. It gets super hot in the summertime here. A lot of people that come to Nanning, that's basically their biggest complaint is the weather in the summertime. Things are inexpensive. You've seen me drinking my beer. Oh, yeah, it's a buck a pop for the tall boys, and you know, there's been a lot of people buying me beer lately, and I appreciate it. I really do. It's one of those things that everybody knows that Gweilo is a beer drinker. And I enjoy that. So let's get back to the debt ceiling. So if there's a recession in the United States, they lose 7 million jobs overnight. They default on the debt, and their credit rating goes into the toilet. As the BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, conglomeration of countries, are talking de-dollarization, as Saudi Arabia is starting to sell oil in currencies other than the petrodollar. Oh yeah, when all of this stuff is happening all at the same time, guys and girls, what do you think is going to happen? It looks like the United States has been bullying the world over and over and over again for 80 years or more, and people are just tired of it. A lot of people are looking at this and saying, holy smokes, guys, if they're sort of hoping that it does happen. I hope it doesn't happen, because the Canadian dollar is tied to the American dollar. Biggest trading partner, 75% of all of our trade is with the United States. Canadian dollar trash out, and Gweilo will be whining, I tell you, for you to buy him a beer. That it would be terrible. But once this de-dollarization takes hold and accelerates like it has accelerated here in the last couple of years, holy smokes, I don't know where it's going to end, but it's not. But no matter how it ends, it's not going to end good for the United States of America. That's one of the things. You see those smiles on faces all the time here. It's just it's why China is such a nice place to be. Everybody has that feeling of confidence that their world is getting better and better and better, rather than getting worse. Like those poor Americans. I would be pissed off too if I was an American. I'm telling you, I would be downright pissed off if I had a government that trashes out the dollar, weaponizes the dollar, and that's another part of the story, is the weaponization of the American dollar. It made it so it wasn't that safe haven that it had always been in the past. You know, once they stole 300 billion Russian dollars, they stole a bunch of Afghan dollars from a bunch of poor Afghanis too, guys. It's not like they're stealing from the rich and given to the given to the rich, you know, the Americans. But now they're moving the Russian money into the Ukraine. And what does Biden say? He says, yes, get this, even if we do default on our debt, we're still going to send arms and financial aid in the billions to the Ukraine. How fucked up is that? You know what I mean? You got no money for social programs at home, because you know that's why they suck this money and borrow it and sell bonds and all this other stuff is for Medicare, is for social welfare, the food stamp program in the United States. All of these programs are going to just disappear if they default on their debt. But it's okay to send more money to the Ukraine to fight against Russia, because that's more important than their own citizens having enough food to eat. You would never ever get that in China. Like the people would not put up with it. You hear about it's illegal to riot or protest in a place like China. Well, that's not true either, because there were protests when the COVID restrictions were on, and the government listened to the people, and the COVID restrictions were lifted overnight, and now everything's open here. It's you know, look at this guy, okay? The old meets the new here in the city. You got the high rises, but then you got those old three-wheel bikes running around. It's just the way it is. But when the Chinese people want something, they get it because the government is for the people, and the people are for the government. And when you hear, well, we hate the Chinese government, but we love the Chinese people. Well, they're one and the same people out there. So that's just code for racist prick. Seriously, that's code for racist prick in the Western world. And or pricks, you know which ones I'm talking about. It's the way it is. Anyway, this is just a little cruise around talking about the debt ceiling in the United States, and hopefully you like the view, hopefully you like the content of the video, and hopefully you'll like, subscribe, share this with your friends, and until next time, that's another video from Gweilo 60. On the streets of Nanning, Guangxi Autonomous Region, China, on I guess it is another Sunday afternoon, and it's hot outside. So I'm going to go and grab a couple of ice cold tall boy beers bought for me from people that love to watch this channel, and I thank you all very much. Until next time, peace out. Bye now.